process for the changes are. And then the board approves that, that becomes local policy.
I'm going to start with 6 because I'm back here, but it's the state requirement, the challenges, and then what was decided by the DSIC is the district recommendation.
Is there any way to, without having to go back to the DSIC, to clarify for innovation number 1 that we're only talking about career and technical education and world languages? Because in there it has the bullet points. I suppose it says are fully equipped to perform the duties of the following hard to hire teaching positions. Okay. So it is already qualified that we're just talking about CTE and world language.
Fill positions is noted in the challenges. It's not really noted in the verbiage of the actual innovation. In the innovation itself, it just says we're seeking certified educators for teaching positions, maintaining expectations, et cetera, and then the 2 bullet points about CTE and world languages. It does not say anything in the actual innovation about hard to hire.
It does.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it does
lists
qualify.
out the exact
But it lists
ones.
those.
We had open when we started the year with long-term subs because teachers could resign much later in the summer and take a job in another district. And then, as Sarah mentioned, all of the other districts, their resignation date has passed. So there's a pool to hire, especially late in the summer when those teachers are leaving for other districts, is very slim.
Innovation number 4.
Every assistant principal and principal has a hand in discipline. On most of our secondary campuses, there's an alpha split or a grade level split. And they're handling all of the discipline in their alpha split or grade level split. And then elementary, it's handled differently depending on the size of the campus. But there are certain components related to accountability and PEEMS, auditing, tracking, leading projects that their TEA requires one designated on the books behavior coordinator. And that person is responsible for doing the audits, signing off on the discipline for whatever the alpha split, all of the kids. You see there in that first bullet, those responsibilities that one behavior coordinator has to do. And so it might be the principal, it might be one of the assistant principals.
So it's not a situation where a trusted assistant in the school could do it.
School committee that after these are approved, that would come together and decide. And again, just because we opt out of it doesn't mean we can't still do it. So if we as a district believe we need to have suicide prevention every single year for every single person, we can put it in there. That's up to us as a district and our local committee. I know Mr. Bates would be involved, through the HR process, and all new teachers would take everything because they haven't had it before. But as a protection for the district, we would want teachers to take certain things more frequently just because we want to make sure that everyone is fresh on suicide prevention, for instance, or child abuse, or whatever the video of choice is, whatever it is that we need, we can opt in. This is just allowing us to cycle through on the ones we so deem necessary.
And when you say local committee, do you mean the DSIC? Or
No.
What committee do you mean?
We have discussed having an additional committee to help write the local plan of how we're going to take innovations 1 through 6, how we're going to actually implement those things, and sort of creating that handbook.
So we haven't determined yet who's going to be on that committee
No.
yet? Okay.
I think the other thing to remember is that the staff development plan has to be brought to the board for approval. And so you all saw that plan, I want to say September or October, and that would come every year to you for approval. So as this is outlined by a subcommittee with HR, teacher representatives, administrators, district leadership, and that plan is laid out for next year, it would have to come to the board for approval. And if at any point somebody said, we really feel like our teachers need this, that plan could be amended.
Okay. Thank you.
My job was to quick get the other 19 out, because if she's throwing a chair, he's turning over a table, I can't let the rest of them get injured or hurt, or myself. Getting them out in the hallway, getting back into the classroom, doing the best I can to keep her from hurting herself or hurting himself, Calling for help, calling for administration. It is not my duty to restrain a child as a teacher. That's not my responsibility. I am there to do my best to keep everyone safe as I can, but that's when administration has to come in and help. And yes, they can come in and they do, as Dr. Nivens witnessed, safely restrain students. And then typically my student would be removed from the classroom. We would do our best to put the classroom back together and start teaching, but we've lost an hour to 2 hours of time. And typically that student was in the office, in the nurse's office, getting checked out, in the office, calling home, calling parents, getting someone up there because a lot of times they won't calm down for us. Mom or someone has to come, mom, dad, grandma, whomever has to come. And then typically they go home that day and they come back the next day and do it all over again.
See, that's just unacceptable. That is completely unacceptable, and if that is...
Environment, so she was not in a program to provide that for her.
So that's what the public doesn't understand, is you got a disruptive kid who's going...
Injuring themselves or, all of the host of things. Those aren't the students that, as you said, a swat in the behind, that's not going to fix it. They need a whole lot more in the way of a program, in the way of assistance. They don't have the skills.
I hear you. They're not being taught those skills at home, but the problem with public education is this, is that we are creating program upon program upon program to deal with every single issue that comes up in our society, as opposed to dealing with it in a firm but loving way in the classroom. And we're doing so many other things, social and mental health lessons and emotional health and things like this in the past, and it's causing us to constantly have more and more money, more and more programs, more and more staffs, more and more training hours for it. And at some point, it's going to get ridiculous. It's like, when are you ever going to learn math and geography and English? And I'm ranting a little bit. I'm not asking you a question, but okay, thank you.